Now it's time for an open discussion to answer your questions and inquiries.
Dr. Nicholas Mavridis, I'm the Chair of Engineering at the Higher Colleges of Technology here in Dubai. My question is actually quite simple, but I think it makes sense for a big part of the audience, especially outside this room. So take, for example, the Stevens Shore home, right? If this was to enter some kind of a limited production, what could be the cost of such a unit? And number two, what do you think are the main challenges towards making such homes a reality within the next 5 or 10 years?
Sure. So for our home in particular, we were designing a lot of innovative concepts around the idea of floodproofing, and there's quite a bit of research that's still yet to be done in that area. So that would definitely be what would occupy the next 5 years or so. As far as the cost is concerned, though, we got estimated around $290,000 US to produce the home, which put us a little over the competition affordability criteria, which is $250,000 US to get 100 points in that category. So yeah, I would definitely say the research in the floodproofing and coastal resiliency would be the main issue for that. But all of the, on the sustainability side, all of the energy systems, the photovoltaic systems, the hot water systems, those are all highly commercially available today, so there's nothing to prohibit them from entering the market whatsoever.
Thank you.
Is there?
Dr. Sahar Karufa from Ajman University again. Would it be right to assume that the toilets and the kitchen would not be connected to the water supply and sewage during the duration of the competition, the exhibition? And would the house, during that period, would the house be connected to electrical grid or not? Would it be expected to be sufficient on its own?
Sure. So we can speak from a number of events where things have been handled differently at each one. So from the water perspective, what the organizers have often done is ask students to have a large water storage tank, which is used for running the dishwasher water contest, the hot water, and then is removed at the end of the contest from a storage tank. So the toilet is not connected, but all the other house functioning is there just for demonstration purposes. However, in Seoul Decathlon, China, the utility actually established a connection to the water utility, and so they had fully functional houses from a water utility interconnection. So it will be up to Pedro and the organizers to determine what is appropriate here, but it can be done on a temporary basis. And for the perspective of the electrical interconnection, most of the historical events have been connected to the utility grid for both production and consumption power, and then monitored with that performance.
In the case of Europe, we have all the houses is connected to the grid. There is the electrical issues, and related with the water, in 2010 we have the opportunity to have all the houses connected to the water grid. Also, we don't need any tank, just connected. But in some cases, like in France, we was unable to connect this to the water lines in the Syria, and they have to bring again the tanks, water tanks. And that's I said that depends. Remember that there is a temporary time so that the house is assembly, and that in some cases don't make sense make a big infrastructure just for the water. But if it's possible, we can connect it to the grid. If not, we try to look for a different solution. But of course, the electricity all the time we try to is grid connected houses all the time. Okay.
Yeah, in the case for Solar Decathlon Middle East here in Dubai, we will provide water and electricity, no sewage, obviously. That's a major infrastructure that it's not worth it for a temporary installation. The final site for the event has not been decided yet, so the infrastructure will depend a little bit on how we see that will go on that. But surely I can say that we will provide water and electricity to the houses.
just gonna throw a quick one here. Sorry. It's just between. I have a wonder about between the phases. The first stage is you have a couple of days or weeks for assembly, and then you have another period where the house will be inhabited and they will be judged during that time. Now, my question is for the O&M or operating and maintenance and how it's looked. How do we look at it from that perspective? So during that period where actually the house is inhabited and people start to live in the house, a failure happened, if you needed to do a maintenance for some of the equipment or something in the house happened in the middle, how we should judge that? How do we look into that? I'm asking that because when we do that here locally, we do have more maintenance requirement, like for example, soiling issue on the PV panels, the window, the house itself may get dirtier, easier, humidity level is quite high, things will happen, so there will be a continuous maintenance. So how should we look into that? Did you have any experience with that? Maybe, I don't know, with rain, with different things during that interval where the competition happened? Thank you.
That's part of the house functioning, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that as much as the research answer can be answered, those teams that are able to finish construction at their universities early can practice and see what's necessary from a cleaning schedule or from a response schedule. But from the competition itself, there are always issues that arise. So the water heater may stop working, or you may have an issue with the window failing to operate in the way it was planned. And those types of repairs and real-time response is something that the students learn a lot from during that entire measurement and monitoring performance. So you'll see in the performance of some teams that, for example, in the last US event, Texas, Germany did very well in energy balance, but that's only because their air conditioning was not working. So they did very poorly in comfort zone. But that's something that they had a student-designed product that they were excited to try that innovation. It didn't operate with very much reliability, but they learned a lot along that process.
If I can add to that, Joe, I think part of your question was also during the competition that in the morning you can wash your panels, and the teams do that, clean them, wash your windows if you want to do that. If there's heavy maintenance, there are specific periods where the public is there and in the house. You can't do anything that would be of a dangerous nature to the public. But otherwise, you can do maintenance in the other hours of the day.
That's the same in Europe. The important is a real house. In your house, you have to do maintenance. In these houses also, okay? The issue is the safety issue is very important. If it's something like electrical maintenance, you couldn't do it when the general public visiting your house, for example. That is, we have time to do this kind of maintenance. Of course, you have a big problem that affects your performance in the competition, but that is the same in each kind of competition. That means you need to be ready. If there are any problems or troubles, you have to solve during the competition in safety way, and that's what is the real life. Okay, that's happened. Okay. Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Faisal again. I asked too many questions, but one of the most important questions I found is sustainability is part of the project, right? So I think sustainability, under that sustainability, we can see low cost, like was mentioned by the two wonderful presenters we have seen this afternoon. So is cost part of the project or not? In the sense of, we are trying to help poor people, things like that. And also to make sense to business to support this kind, so low cost, more gain, and things like that. So is it part of the proposal of the project itself? Thank you.
So I can speak from the perspective of a couple events, and I think that whether or not that is included really depends on how the juries are structured to evaluate particular criteria. So it's not necessarily is something the cheapest, but does it have a high return on investment, or is it effective for that cost? So the difference between no insulation and a few inches of insulation may make sense. The difference between 23 and 25 inches may be cost prohibitive. So how do you understand whether or not that cost is responsive? For the US event, we included an affordability contest where that is actually measured against a hard number, but I don't think that's the only measurement of what is affordable or what is cost effective. I think you can also have juried contests that consider whether or not it was a smart decision to include a particular product or not.
Case for the
important, excuse me, Pedro. The important is be clever, be smart. Okay, just use what you need, no more, and that's very important. And that no makes sense put a very huge insulation if you don't need it. Okay, that is just waste your money. And that for a sustainable point of view, that's not make sense neither. Okay, no, it's not a good solution. And we need to, for that reason, it's important the research and the study and the simulation, previous simulation, just to get what you really need, no more. And that makes sense. In terms of the competition, if you say that the prices of the houses, sometimes low-cost houses get a very good evaluation by the jury. I mean, not the most expensive houses need to be the best, okay? For example, 2010 and 2014, the best price in architecture was the house with the lower, one of the houses with the lower budget, okay? And that's a very good message also, that you don't need to bring a really expensive project, you need to bring a really smart project and a very integrated project that you get the best with all the money you put in the project just because you need it, no more.
Yeah, I mean, in our case for the contest, for the event here, said that the cost could be integrated within the sustainability contest. And obviously, as Edwin says, that's an important part on that. We'll need to evaluate the actual cost of the prototype that has been built, but most importantly will be a business plan or a forward-looking cost of what will the cost of a house like this in production or in volume, some relative volume production will be. Together with the evaluation of cost of different components. When we mention about innovation, innovation happens when you are able to bring something into the market and get a value for that, being economical or social, yeah. So that will be a part of that as well. It's good to see that there's an innovation. It's good to see that that innovation will result in profit for the company or the group that is exploiting that innovation, and therefore the cost and this cost structure of part of the project, that part of the project in its whole has to be well defined.
Good afternoon. My name is Professor Adil Al-Tamimi from the American University of Sharjah. I would like first to thank DEWA for the excellent job and for inviting us and for these excellent initiatives. And I would like to thank all of you guys. You did a great job and excellent. Thank you for coming here to share this information with us. However, I would like to ask things like, is that the first stage of zero house or eco house? What about commissioning? I haven't heard anything about commissioning, for example, data loggers. What about life cycle? What about maintenance, future maintenance? Are these part of the judgment criteria, or that is the end of it? Because when you get the house now, the operation cost and future maintenance, it will play a significant part. I would like you to tell me whether this is part of the criteria or what about this. That's one part, one fold of my question. The other part is targeting our dear student, because we're concerned about our student here. I would like to know how they maintain teamwork and how they cope with the hard work and how they share, the work, and whether this affected their performance in their courses. Thank you very much.
The first question about the evaluation of the life cycle, for example, and in Europe we have in in the sustainability contest, we have specific items regarding with the life cycle of the material of the house, and that they use a specific software, and that we also have the chance to help the team to understand how to use this software, and that have training for use this software also, because it's not really common in architecture and in some school, engineering school neither. And that with our organizer, we provide the software and also help to learn how to use it. And that they made a very good exercise to evaluate this issue in the houses. This information that they produce was revised by the expert in these areas that get support to the teams to get the very close results, and that this information was passed to the jury, sustainable jury, just to get part of the total evaluation of the house. I mean, that for us is really important. The sustainability is a juried contest, and as you say, could be very subjective, but we try to ask for the most information that we can from the team, just to get all the data available for the jury, in terms that gets the best evaluation of your work. Of course, the embodied energy of the building is important, but what happened in the life cycle is really bigger than what you use in the materials. And for this reason, we take care about what happened with the material, but also what is the projection of the used energy in the whole life of these buildings. It's really nice when you compare that the simulation of the team in the term of the performance of the house and what happened in the solar village. It's just in the case of Euro, just 2 weeks or 2 weeks and a half of monitoring, and that. But you see that there are really nice correlation. What they have made in the simulation, what we get in the final. That's very good. No matter we have, for example, in Paris, we have a week, competition weeks with the rain, and that's a lot of cloudy days. No matter that, the house get the energy plus performance with the limit of 5 kilowatt peak. Okay, and that's very good. And that we get not just zero energy houses, but just also a zero energy village. I mean, we were able to supply energy not only for the houses, but for all the installation that we have in the village, and that's good. It's very good to know that they have a very nice job previously, just to evaluate the performance of the houses, and then they can demonstrate that this is possible to get it. There was other question that was for the students, and that's.
Yeah, I can take that one. Well, first I was going to say, also just on the first question a little bit, I think you might have, we're sort of also asking about maintenance and data logging. And I was just going to, for maintenance issues, that is actually taken into account, at least in our competition, with regard to market appeal, was one whole competition. So all of the houses are evaluated based on if you put in some type of technology or something that is going to prohibit you from maintaining it, is going to be difficult for a typical home buyer to actually, want to operate normally. That can hurt you greatly in the market appeal. So that's something that gets taken into account, and I'm sure will be taken into account in all sorts of ways in this competition. So from the student perspective, in terms of teamwork and team building, that's definitely an incredibly difficult but rewarding part of this entire competition. AJ and I kind of came in. We had both been interested in solar decathlon before, and we both wanted to get involved. And we actually were contacted and talked to Stevens Institute of Technology, and we ended up coming just to work on the project, which is pretty unique in a lot of cases. But what basically ended up happening is they put out a notice to the school and got kids who were interested from all different departments, had an application process, and we brought in over 60 kids probably throughout the course of the project from all different departments. And as you can imagine, as you're realizing, that can be incredibly difficult to organize and to to produce something this complicated with so many different people from so many different backgrounds. The way we tried to do it and we tried to manage it was sort of to break it into pieces, break it into different scopes of work, and have sort of leaders. So we were part of a graduate school program. There were only 6 of us, and then there were, like I said, about 50, 60 undergrads. We each managed sort of different parts of the undergrad groups, and we reported to our faculty. So we tried to come up with a sort of hierarchy, a organization system, but then, of course, it all came down to relationships, creating a good working environment, and just keeping everybody interested, making sure everyone was equally involved. In the end, it was an unbelievable experience, and I think just from a team building and relationship standpoint, it really could not have been more valuable.
So I will speak to that a little bit as well. I think what is interesting is that support comes from university management as well. So it's not that this work is done only outside of coursework, but is often integrated into that coursework itself. So you may have a design studio for the design of the house, or a junior or a senior student may have the HVAC system or the water heater as part of their design project, and then that's integrated into the Solo Decathlon overall. So I think by finding coursework and finding projects where a class can work together on a particular aspect, so it may be the shutters, or it may be the foundation, or it may be some structural calculations, they can work as a course, so it's not you do all your schoolwork and you do Solo Decathlon, but you do your coursework that integrates Solo Decathlon. I think that's when you see the most successful teams, when there is that integration with coursework at the university.
And that is probably why we are looking at a long-term project with Solo Decathlon Middle East, having a first event in 2018, following with 2020, and from there on we'll be talking about future. So this way universities, and especially local universities, can get engaged in the long term, integrating in the curricula the content on this and improving their design and their participation along the years.
Hello, my name is Dr. Abdelaziz El Gamouz. I'm from the College of Science, University of Sharjah. I just want to ask, my question is, don't you think the way, the regulation have been put for the, for this challenge or for this competition, that some materials, for example, are going to be excluded because, you have to build the house in 2 weeks. If you think, for example, of using some materials like clays or local materials, that would, it would be difficult to transport them from a place to the other. So, it's like you are narrowing the kind of materials that has to be used. It has to be wood or aluminum or something else, okay? Or you cannot use something which is local like clays, sand or rocks or whatever, because it will be difficult to transport it from a place to the other.
Yeah. We have experience in Europe that they use traditional materials in the modern way and in the more contemporary solution. Of course, is there a limit? Use like the sand and that's the ground or this kind of solution that is very good for thermal inertia, and that's we have a lot of tradition about that. But for example, if you study the house that bring Grenoble in the 2010, that was they made a prefab wall, and that's a sand wall that they put it in big pieces, and they bring this to a Solo Decathlon and assemble the house with this traditional solution, and that was look for ideas how to transform this traditional construction to the new way. That is a challenge, and that don't see it like a limit, see it like a challenge. Okay. And that in some cases you can use also this traditional construction and add it new feature. For example, in some of the air wall that have used in the Solo Decathlon Europe, they have integrated a radiant system inside of them. That means they can recirculate water cool water or hot water, depending on what is the case. And that's, a traditional construction with addition of a more contemporary solution for get the better comfort. And that's a good point. And just say that people in the Middle East have a lot of nice tradition, and with the many centuries, they know how to solve. You know how to solve the issue about your climate. And the challenge is translate this to the more contemporary architecture and translate this to maybe a industrialized construction, and that should be a very good input, not just for Solar Decathlon, but also to help the people that will be construct here in this area. Look like this like a challenge, okay? That's so that is the best we can do.